Hi everyone, I hope this finds you all healthy and happy, and I'm here to show you how I make my little, I call them Painty baby white flowers. I first made these a while ago, and I don't remember if I followed anyone's video back then or not, but I never liked how they turned out. And then I saw Tanya McGuire doing them, and so I followed her video to a certain extent, and she makes beautiful ones of these as well, and I will put the link to her channel in the description box below. But Tanya makes these, and her video was easy to follow, and I just thought, wow, I'm going to try that again. And but I did do something a little bit differently than Tanya did, and what that was is when Tanya got to a certain point making her little baby white flowers, she took stitches or sewed around the bottom of them, and you'll see her do that when you go to her channel. But I'm too lazy to sew, so so I did mine a little differently, and I'm going to come back here in just a minute and show you exactly how I did mine. And then, like I said, you can take a look at how I did mine, and then you can go across and look at Tanya's video and see how she did hers. And but in the meantime, I've got some squares of the baby white cut up, and I'm going to cut some more, and then as soon as I get that accomplished, I will come back and show you how I did mine. So hang in there with me. Thanks. Okay, I'm back, and I've got a whole bunch of different sized squares cut up. They don't have to be, I mean, they don't have to be perfect squares. Excuse me. You'll see whenever we do them that they don't have to be perfect, but I do try to get like a smaller one, a medium one, a sort of a larger one, you know, that kind of an idea. It helps out whenever you're stacking your flowers up. So you just basically take out, I'll show you how to do this one, and then I'll just kind of fast forward through it and sort of do a voiceover for most of it. But you just take your square, and this is what was so cool about Tanya's, because it was so simple and so easy. Just fold it in half. Again, you just take your square, fold it in half, then take the bottom where your fold is, take the bottom and come up to the very top edge, fold it again, and then you take this bottom and fold it over and match it up with that edge there. Okay, I'll show you that again. Take your square, just fold it in half, and then you go from your fold, this is your fold down here, you take that corner, go up to the top edge, and then you go with this corner over here on this side, and you bring it up and match it up to that fold. And it makes kind of like a little, I don't know, guess kind of like a little triangle, sort of like your I think Tanya used the analogy that was sort of like a hanky that you were going to put in somebody's pocket, and that's kind of what it looks like. And then you just turn it over. This is what you end up with, you know, this like this. You just turn it over on this side because it's easier to see. And then what you do is you start about halfway down on the folded side here. You start about halfway down, and you just take your scissors and come up, and you cut out an ice cream cone. And that was another analogy that Tanya used, and it was was really simple and easy for me to grasp. That ought to tell you something. Anyway, so you just cut out an ice cream cone, and that's kind of what you have. And then when you open it up, and I hope this is a nice one, sometimes they turn out not as, they turn out a little wonky, but yeah, this is a pretty nice one, and that's what you come out with. And like sometimes I think this petal here needs to be cut just a little deeper, and I just kind of go in and sort of trim it just a hair and cut it a little bit deeper, but that's what it turns out like. Now Tanya took hers in the center like this, and she turned it over on the back, and she put a few stitches in here and sewed this on the bottom so that it gave the flower a little bit. This is where I never could get them when I was doing mine before. I couldn't get the flower to seem to have any dimension, to seem to have any I don't know, flowers are not perfect, and I didn't really want them to be perfect, but I wanted them to have, you know, to look like a flower when they were done. And I couldn't ever seem to get mine to do that. So Tanya, and you'll see Tanya do this, and you can do this also, but she took some stitches here at the bottom end of it. You can see it where it makes a little point. She took some stitches in there and then made the flower have a little bit more depth and dimension. But what I did, because I'm lazy, like I said, I took a little tiny bit of hot glue, just the tiniest little bit, and I put it right in the center like that, and then I just squished it together like this and held on to it until I was pretty sure it was set. Just kind of squished it together like that, and besides I have asbestos fingers, so you know, so be careful if you do this yourself and you're very sensitive to the hot glue, because you know you can burn yourself. And when they come out, I think that they look really cute, more like a flower. And I picked a really poor color to show you, but I'll show you with one more, and then I will start, you know, building them up. And I try not to be too particular about what color I put on, what color, I mean, because obviously the baby wipes are loaded down with all different colors, and so I try to just grab the next one off the top unless it really doesn't match, you know, unless it really looks awful. So, but what you want to do is get a square. If you started with the bigger square, get one that's the next size smaller so that it will layer up for you. Okay, just in half. Bring this corner up, kind of at a little slight diagonal to the top, right here. Then bring this side over, match it up here where your folds are, and then turn it over so you can see it a little bit better. And cut your ice cream cone out. Start about down here and then come up around and just cut it like an ice cream cone. Sometimes you have to hold your baby wipe together, you know, push it a little bit, pinch it a little bit together so it'll cut nicer for you. And then once you get going on them and get you know, a rhythm going, you know, they really excuse me again, they really come out really, you know, you can do them pretty fast is what I'm trying to say. Sorry. And then what I usually do is I just kind of squinch them up together, you know, like this, pinch them a little bit so I can see right where the middle is, where I want my middle to be, and then you can see it. You can see the little pocket that it makes. Like, then I just put a tiniest little bit of hot glue in there. You don't want to put too much, because believe it or not, these things melt. They really melt. So, and then just squish it together, or squinch it together. That's my technical term there, squinch. Just squinch it together. Oh, and this little petal has a little tail on it, so I'm going to take that off. And then you just open it up, push it a little bit in the middle, and then that's what it looks like. And then you just can layer that up with your other one, or layer that up on top, and you can sort of see how they're going to turn out like that. And then I usually make them 3 layers thick. You know, you offset your petals, which that one isn't offsetted quite enough, but you offset your petals so that they're not right one on top of another, of course. And excuse me, I usually layer them 3 up, you know, three layers deep. So I'll make one more layer here, and we'll put this one together, and then I'll just fast forward while I make a few more, and you can watch, and hopefully you will go over and check out Tanya's way of doing it, and like I said, I'll do a little bit of a voiceover so that I can test out my my new voiceover setup, and we'll be good to go. So this is usually the last layer that I put on. Like I said, I usually do 3 layers deep. 3 layers, yeah, deep, I guess is the way to say it. And that one's kind of cool. It's got a lot of black on that side, but there's some gray on this side, so I like this side better. So I'm going to squinch it up and kind of get my middle. In the middle, I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be stupendously perfect. You try to get it, you know, as much in the middle as you can. Open it back up again so you can see where your little pocket is, and then add the tiniest little bit of glue. Just a tiny little bit. Squinch it back up together and kind of pinch it, you know, between your finger and thumb, and you can kind of go around it. Makes sort of like a little point, but that's okay, because when you open it up, you can sort of spread out your petals a little bit, and you just push it in the middle, and that point seems to kind of flatten down, so it's not an issue when you put the flower together. Okay, and then that one's going to go like right here. And then of course you just glue them together, and there's your little flower. And they're really pretty. If you don't, you know, put as much depth to them, you can make them a little flatter by not, you know, squeezing so much. And I kind of eyeball it to make sure that it's sort of symmetrical, you know, after I layer it up. And then what I do is I just put my finger down on it. I lift the, you know, the first layer up, put a little tiny bit of glue in there, push it back down, then hold that one and just put another little tiny bit of glue in there. And sorry, I picked up a little cardboard there, but anyway, that's usually how I do it. And if also you can, if you want to, if they look like there's, you know, a petal that's sticking out too far, or you don't like it or whatever, you can just trim it off. And then I put a center in them. Not liking how that one looks, so I'm going to trim that one just a hair. But yeah, you can do that too if you know, they come out and they, you know, you're not liking how they look or whatever, you can always adjust it a little bit. And of course you have your glue strands. And there we go. And then you can, like I said, put a center in there, kind of like I've done with these. See, there's this one we just made, minus a center, of course, and I'll put a center in that one. That one looks like it might need a bright colored center because it's kind of a darker, more muted colors. I'm trying to get the glue strands off of it, but there you go. And I'll make some more and talk with you as I go a little bit, and hopefully you'll hang with me for a little while longer, and we'll make a couple more of these. Okay, here you see me, and I just used my larger square again, making the bottom petal. Come up around and cut out my little ice cream cone. Find the little pocket in the middle, add a tiny little bit of glue, squeeze it together, and there you go with your bottom petal. I'm trimming it because I wasn't happy with the size of the petals. You can also, if you don't like the little point on the bottom that the glue makes, if you want to make yours with glue, you can also, just after the glue is set, which only takes a second or two, you can actually cut that little point off if you don't like that, you know, being at the bottom. Just make sure you don't cut it deep enough to get into your actual petals. And you just layer it up. And then go to your next smaller size square. Cut around your little ice cream cone shape. And add your dot of glue and squeeze it together. Here's where you could cut that little point off at the bottom if you would want to do that. You can also make a fourth layer if you want to. You can make another, you know, make it a little smaller. It's a little harder to cut a smaller size square, but maybe you can just freehand a little tiny square with petals, and you know, use that for your fourth layer. You can put any kind of center in them, little flat back pearls, little bling. This one, I'm going to make the petals a little bit different. I cut it kind of straight up to a point almost on both sides. You'll see it here. There we go. And what happens there is it makes a little star. And I liked these. They turned out okay. I don't think I like them as well as the rounded petal flower, but I made a little star and layered that up. You'll see that here in just a second. And like I said, I liked it. It turned out okay, but I kind of like the other traditional shape of the petals a little bit more, but just come straight up, kind of like a to a point, and there you go. There's your star-shaped petal. And you'll see me here just layer that one up, and that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna just stop here, and I will say goodbye to everyone, and I'll be back here in a second with the end. Okay, I hope you enjoyed coming along with me and watching me make a few of these Painty baby white flowers. I hope you go over to Tanya's channel and check her video out regarding these. And as you saw, I made a couple of them with pointy leaves, you know, instead of the rounded rounded petals. I mean petals, not leaves. And but yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you stayed all the way through, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I so appreciate all my subbies, and yeah, and also remember to go check out Nina Ribina's video on making this type of a piece with oil pastels. And thank you so much again for watching, and until we visit the next time, God bless you. Bye bye.